Hello, this is Luke. It is November 2025 and here is my first video on Mac Basics 101. In this video we are going to start right at the beginning and take a look at getting to know your desktop, including the menu bar, how to change key settings, searching using the keyboard and also using Siri, and notifications and using the dock. And then if I get time, I'm going to look at Finder. But if we don't get time, I'll cover that in video number 2. The best way to use these videos is to go through them at your own pace, but also to pause regularly so you can test out the feature yourself. I'll try to go slow, but also if I am going too fast, you can always rewind a bit and have a go at watching it again before attempting it again. So the idea is that you watch a bit, pause, try it yourself and replay if needed. Okay, so first we're going to get to know the Mac desktop. So when you are logged into your Mac, you've got 3 key things that you want to understand. At the bottom of the screen, you've got your dock. This is the shelf that has all of your favorite apps. It's not all your apps. There are more within the computer as well, but you can think of this as some of your favorite apps that you can access easily. Then at the very top of the screen, we've got the menu bar. The menu bar kind of fades into the background, but all these words at the top of the screen here are part of the menu bar, and it's split into 2 halves. We've got menus on the left, and then we've got controls on the right. And we'll take a look at those in more detail in a moment. In the middle of the screen, that background picture, is your desktop. So you've got dock at the bottom, menu bar at the top, everything in between is your desktop. And your desktop is much like a real desk. It's going to have all of your apps that you're currently using taking up most of the space, and also has some files on the background here. You can see I've got some files on my desktop so I can access those nice and easily. But essentially, that's how we are set up. Now, before we start using the Mac, you might want to set your own desktop picture. That's very straightforward. And the best way to do that, the most simplest way to do that, is just to right click on the desktop. So if I right click on the desktop, which is pressing down with 2 fingers on a on a laptop. So pressing down with 2 fingers is the same as a right click. Or if you've got a mouse, you can simply click on the right click of the mouse. If a right click doesn't work, you can also hold down the control button on a Mac. Sometimes we refer to right click as control click. Sometimes it's also referred to as secondary click. But you should be able to get that menu up by holding control if nothing else. And you'll see there's an option there for change wallpaper. So if I wanted to, I could give that a click and I could select another wallpaper from this list. While we're on the subject of wallpapers, and it is just a case of choosing one that you like the look of, you also have a option of having dark mode and light mode with some of these wallpapers, and they're called dynamic wallpapers. So that means there'll be a different wallpaper in the daytime than there is in the evening. That's just for personal preference. And also some of these backgrounds actually move. The ones with the little video button move. So you can even have moving wallpapers if you wanted to. Right, you can explore that at your own pace if you would like to, but actually I'm not going to do any more of the wallpapers. I'm going to close this window by pressing the red button in the top left hand corner of the window, and that'll disappear. Happy days. Okay, let's talk a bit more about the dock then. So the dock has all of your favorite apps, and if you want to open an app, it's just a case of giving it a click. So I'm going to click on Safari, which is the web browser, and you see that just pops up, it opens up, and I could start browsing the web by typing in the address I want to go to in the menu bar at the top. Accept some cookies. We can change the size of a window by going to any edge of that window. The arrow changes to a double arrow. I can drag to change the size of the window. Again, that's all very straightforward. If you want to move the window in the screen, you want to look for any sort of empty grey space in the toolbar of that window. So for the majority of apps, at the top of the app, there's always going to be some sort of empty space which you can grab onto and just drag left and right to move its position on the screen. Incidentally, when you have an app open, you'll see that on the app icon in the dock, there's a little black circle underneath it. And that's just an indication that that app is currently being used. It is currently running in the background. Even if you don't see it, it's still using up memory on the computer. And your computer can only juggle so many things at once. So just bear that in mind, that if there's a little black icon there, it means the app is open. And you'll see if I open up another app like the Photos app, then a little black circle appears on that icon too. And I'll open up one more. Let's open up the Notes app. And you see there's a little black icon underneath for that app as well. Now at this point, lots of my apps are overlapping. And if I wanted to stop using an app, I could press the red button in the top corner of that app window. Red means stop using the app, it disappears. But notice that that little black circle still appears on that app icon. It's still using up memory, it's still running in the background. So for good practice, if you stop using an app, it's better to quit rather than just stop it. And the reason is that if you click on that red circle, it means that the app's much quicker to open up next time round. That's pretty good. But if you're not going to use that app for a while, it's better to quit. And to do that, whatever app you're using, whatever is on in front of all the other apps, it will have the name of it in the top left hand corner. So I'm currently got the Notes app in front of all my other apps. It says Notes at the top. And if I click on the app name and choose quit, then it will quit that app and the black dot goes off. So if you're not going to use an app for a while, it's better to quit than just to close or stop. Let's do that for Photos. So finish using Photos, Photos, quit, finish using the internet, Safari, quit, and all the lights are off again. I'm just going to open them all up again because I want to, and for my next step, and Photos as well. So the other thing is, if you've got these apps overlapping, how may you want to still have them on your screen and be able to switch between them most easily? Well, there's a few ways to do this. One way to see what's behind the current app is to minimize it. So that would be the orange button. It's next to the red one. The orange button, that will minimize the app. That happened quite slowly. I'll see if I can slow that down. No, used to be able to, but you can't anymore. So that sucked the app down into the end of the dock next to the bin. And that just means you can just come back to it at any stage by clicking, and it will just reopen again. So that's one way to switch between apps. You can just hide the one that's on top. The other thing you can do is to drag an app to a corner and it will snap into place. So remember earlier I said you've got this empty space in all the toolbars at the top. So I'm just going to grab this empty space up here on the Photos app. And as I drag it to the side of the screen, when I get close to the edge, you'll see, do you see this? It puts an outline of how it's going to snap that app to take up half the screen. So I'm going to give that a click. Boom, it's taken up half the screen. Now I can see some of the apps behind. And again, I can now drag this one to the other edge. And when I get close, there we go. That takes up half the screen as well. So snapping to the edge of the screen is a nice way to have two apps side by side. We can go on. I'm just going to move this. In fact, I'm going to move that app back over here and this app back over there. The other thing that you can do is you can expose all the apps that are on screen, even if they're overlapping. Now, this is done using a gesture on the trackpad. And you can do this with 3 fingers on the trackpad and just move them in like a swiping action, like a flick towards the screen. So it's sort of like this, like that. I'll give that a go. So 3 fingers towards the screen. And here we go. It's unhidden all those apps. And that can be very useful for switching between them. So I could click on Safari. Boom. If I want to switch to another app, 3 fingers towards the screen. Choose another app. 3 fingers towards the screen. Choose another app. So we call that expose or expose. And it allows you to switch between one app and another. I would say that those are probably the main ways how we can multitask and switch between apps. That works for most people. You can, should we do one more? We'll look at one more if you want to. So make sure you've had a practice on what we've talked about so far. But when you feel ready, have a go at this one last step, which is full screen apps. This gets a little bit more complicated and I would say is somewhat unnecessary. So this green button allows you, if you click on it normally, it allows you to just jump to full screen, but it hides everything else on your screen. You can sort of think of the desktop being just to the left of this. And if I take 3 fingers on the mouse or trackpad and just swipe to the side, I can reveal back my desktop. And then again, it's just like having this full screen app just to the side of your computer. So with 3 fingers again on the trackpad, not towards the screen, no, because that was expose. 3 fingers just swiping from right to left. Bye. Then I can reveal that full screen app again. 3 fingers back to the left. And you can keep adding more apps into full screen. So I might want to have this photo app in full screen. Press the green button. Now this is full screen. So now I've got 2 full screen apps and my desktop. And if I use 3 fingers and swipe left and right, you'll see here's my desktop. And if I go back to photos with 3 fingers and then keep going, there's my other full screen app. So you can keep adding and stacking these full screen apps side by side if you want to. If it gets confusing, you can just expose them all. So 3 fingers back towards the screen again. Then here I've got my desktop like before, but my full screen apps are shown at the top here. So I've got my desktop and I've got these 2 full screen apps. And you can switch them around if you want to change the order, and you can drag these full screen apps back into the desktop by just clicking and dragging. But in all honesty, you don't have to use full screen apps at all. Like plenty of people get by without it. Like it's not always necessary. But it is there if you like switching between lots of screens. If you have your own physical screens, then there's even less reason to really use it. So feel free to ignore that last bit if it doesn't really mean too much to you. Those 3 fingers left and right, if you're using an Apple mouse rather than a trackpad, then it works with just 2 fingers on the top of the mouse, sort of like this, left and right. Okay, last thing on just managing these windows on your desktop. That green button actually has some extra features. If you click that button while holding the Option key on your Mac, it changes the function of the green button and instead will go full screen on the desktop but not make it its own desktop, its own screen. So you see this window now takes up the whole window space, but I've still got the dock, I've still got the menu bar. Whereas when I went full screen, there's no dock or menu bar unless I push up or push down. So more useful for smaller screens, really, that full screen mode. And then if you hover over that green button, there's the snapping features as well. So I could snap this just to the top of the screen, hover, I could snap it to the side or snap it to the other side, whatever works for you. Personally, I like just dragging to the edge of the screen until it makes that outline. But it's your choice. And I hope that you find by using any combination of those features that you can switch between the apps that you like to use. Okay, so I've used a bunch of apps. I've been able to switch between them. I've been able to close them and quit them when I need to. And then at the end of the day, I would just go through and close all these apps until I'm done with them. And you can just use the red button, or you can go to the name of the app and then quit. But I'm just going to finish this video with just 2 keyboard shortcuts that I think are super useful. The first keyboard shortcut is Command Q. So Command Q would just quit the app that you have open on top of all the other apps, your active window. And you know what app it's going to quit because that's the name of it up here next to the Apple logo. So at the moment I've got Notes above all my other apps. And if I press Command Q, it just quits that app. Now you see it says Safari. So if I press Command Q, it will close Safari. And if I do it again, it will quit Photos. If you forget any of these keyboard shortcuts, they're actually written in the menu bar. So remember, if you want to quit an app, I can click on the name of the app and click quit. But it tells me right here that the shortcut is Command Q. So don't worry if you forget what the keyboard shortcut is. So Command Q, and that closes. The last keyboard shortcut is to switch between apps that you've got open and can also be used for quitting. This is just me kind of geeking out, really. I'm just going to open up a bunch of apps again. So we've got a few open. And this time I'm pressing Command Tab. So if you hold Command and then press Tab once, you'll see it'll show you all the apps that are open, all the apps that have that black dot underneath them. So in this case, Photos, Notes, Safari, Calendar, Finder, and Tips. And you can hold Command down. So I'm keeping Command held down the entire time. I'm not going to let go of Command unless I'd say. So I've still got Command held down. I press Tab to bring this up, the app switcher. And then if I press Q, it quits Notes. I'm still holding Command. If I press Q again, it quits Safari. Haven't let go of Command yet. Calendar, quit. Finder, you can't quit. Finder's the app that's showing you the desktop. So that one always stays open. And then to Photos, quit. So you can quickly quit all your apps by just holding Command, pressing Tab, and then pressing Q, 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 Q. And then you've cleared all the apps out your memory and you're back on your desktop. Okay, so there we've covered what is on the screen on your desktop, and we have covered a little bit about just opening apps and switching between them. That's all we've done so far. And we've already been going for 18 minutes. So actually, I'm going to pause there for this video. Feel free to play back any of that. And in the next video, we're going to continue what I said we were going to do, which is the menu bar. So I'll see you then.